Previously on the Seventh Valkyrie, the fragile peace between Edarans and Freelanders erupts into fire and bloodshed, leaving the entire continent hurtling towards war. What awaits in the stunning conclusion of Season 2, The Shattered Visage? Find out next on the Seventh Valkyrie. Epilogue. To burn it all. The 23rd day of winter. Midday. The cold, cutting ocean wind swept towards the coast and shot up the rugged cliff sides far north of Reen, bringing a salty ocean spray that stung the skin, even as the feeble winter sunlight tried to offer some heat. BC shivered and instinctively looked down at Krona's steel horse, amazed that, against the bitter cold, she almost wanted to be back on it with Krona. The steel horse ran hot when it was moving, and clinging to Krona's back, she hadn't noticed the bitter chill creeping in during their nearly 36-hour trek, out from Reen along the Mandako, around the mountains, and finally to the north. Well, maybe it wasn't surprising that she hadn't noticed the cold. BC had only regained consciousness the second day in, snapping into reality midway through the next night, and even then she had still been way too high to function. It was only this morning, as they'd reached the cliffs, that she had really begun to sober up. And now she stood, freezing her ass off, stretching her legs as she leaned on Krona's beastly, two-wheeled steel horse, looking out across the endless ocean as Krona paced the cliffs a few dozen yards away. He was speaking to someone, the holder of one of his many communicators scattered out through the wilds and cities of Edaran and beyond. BC watched him talk, pacing back and forth, waving his hands wildly as he gave out orders, and then finally he finished and returned to where BC stood. Sorry for that, Blair. I had to make some calls, but all should be well. I've never built a plan that couldn't handle a few bumps in the road. He reached out to tweak her nose, but she swatted at his hand, and he stopped, taken aback. You're getting back to your usual self. Does anything hurt? Well, I've got a banger of a hangover, but if you're talking about the new tattoos, no, they don't hurt. Everywhere she had been broken during the fight, her tattoos had expanded and spread to fill in the scars, now leaving the entire left side of her face looking like shattered pottery glued back together. Well, can I get you a ferret? A spliff, a shot of moon dust, blitz powder, fireball, anything? I've got it all in my coat. I'm fine for now, thank you, BC said, crossing her arms. Do you remember anything that happened after you blacked out? Anything more we can learn about that Iron Wolf imitator will be invaluable. No, Krona. It's the same as always, just a bunch of bad dreams of things that have happened and things that haven't. I can't tell you if any of them were fucking real or what wasn't, much less what the fucking Iron Wolf imitator was doing. Well, if my gut is right, he won't be hidden for long. You know, there was word of an Edaran, someone the lower gangs were talking about like he really was the Iron Wolf. Maybe the man who nearly killed you was one and the same. Yeah, well, your guess is as good as mine. BC looked away from Krona towards the ocean, and then back south, over the cliffs and the coastline to where Reen waited, somewhere far away. Your mind is somewhere else, Blair. Aw, geez, you think? Do you care to tell me? I don't believe a single fucking word of what you told me about May. Tell me again what happened exactly. Okay. Well, you fell. She saved you from the river, brought you up, and healed you. If it hadn't been for the fact that she was a great wolf, or that the powers of oblivion protected you, you would have died, and we would not be talking. That was where I found both of you. Yeah, and what happened then? Because I can't picture how you got from there to her letting you take me. Well, First of all, she wasn't in much of a state to be doing or stopping anything. Saving you took all she had left in her body. When I found her, she couldn't move, much less turn into a wolf. And so while she didn't like it, and it took a lot of convincing, eventually, she could sense the families approaching, and she let us take you. 'Cause at least we weren't going to kill you on sight. And then she said she fucking hated me, that I deserved to die screaming, and quite a bit of sludge sucking and snake fucking that really didn't quite compare to your insults, but were a good attempt. Yeah, shut the fuck up. Why should I believe you? How do I even know she's alive? The insults did seem to have come from May's repertoire, but none of this was quite adding up. Well, my darling Blair, she said that when she healed, she'd come for us, probably to kill me. So you can certainly have that hanging in your back pocket. And, in the meantime, even she agreed that it was safer for you to leave Reen for a while. BC gritted her teeth. I won't force you to stay with me. You can head back if you want. You'd have to walk, so it would be a while, and I don't know how you'd get past the Edarans, or if you'd be able to even get back into the old city. My little birdies are telling me that Reen will soon become a war zone. And I'm assuming that you are about to drop on me a much better plan. Is that right? You know me too well, Blair. Great. So what is it? Reen's at war, Edera is spooked, the families are bought in now with their attack on the new city. What the fuck is this all building towards? A new world, my love. I will tear down the pillars of this order. The Edarans, the Freelanders, the wars of the tribes, and I will slaughter the very gods who created it. And then we will face the world that comes after. Fucking hell, Krona. You sound even more vague and fucking crazy than before. Well, you are in your rights to say that. But I'm also within my rights to offer you this front row seat. With you, without you, this world will end and a new world will be born. Look into my eyes and tell me I'm lying. She didn't have to look into his eyes to know he was telling the truth. Or at least believed he was. When Krona called his shot, he did not miss. So, my question is this. Where would you rather be, Blair? Joined by the company of old comrades, at my right hand with all of the resources and power and drugs you could want, ensuring with your sword of oblivion that every step along the way the evil Machine King is kept in check. It might even be fun like the old days, though I know some of those are long gone. He put his metal arm on her shoulder, but she shoved it off. You always speak in riddles, Krona? Fuck. And if I ask you about the specifics, they always change. It's just vague bullshit with you. Well, unfortunately, not even I can tell the future, so things are always changing. And sometimes, often to you, I do tell the truth, just to mix things up, Blair. Either way, we have a great deal of work to do, and it starts just about... Oh, perfect timing. Now. From the woods to the south of them came a commotion, and then a squadron of 6 Thraya, feathered, scaled, and furred lizards, emerged, each 15 feet long and 6 feet tall at the shoulder. First to dismount was the Jackal, who strode over to Krona, thumping his chest in salute. It was as much respect as he would show anyone on Earth. And how was your mission? Our mission was a joke. You told us to prepare for war, but all we came up against were a few old wild speakers and invalids. Even a few Edarans, though we killed them out of principle. You never know, of course. Krona nodded. Well, it seems your timing was fortuitous. A few hours later, and you might have clashed directly with the Watchers for the Wild. Regardless, we have the package. The jackal whistled. A trio of men leapt into action, spurring their Strya to the front and dragging their fourth passenger, bagged and bound, off the animal to the floor in front of Krona. The jackal rolled him over with a kick, getting a sad whimper from the prisoner, and then tore the bag off his head, revealing a bound, gagged, and hog-tied young man with shining golden hair. BC gasped involuntarily as she met Cyrus's eyes, and Krona nodded contentedly. You know, they're saying that this resilient little bug survived one of our null bombs. Went up in flames like a dying star outside Sunseton, then survived the Western Expanse and came out allied with the Watchers for the Wild. They say he's the first Valgardian on these shores in centuries. But I didn't know you'd had the chance to get to know him, Blair. That just makes this all so much more fun. This is some Valgardian, the jackal said. The kid has nothing in terms of power. We brought enough men to handle anything up to Apostolis, and we just came across a bunch of hippies in a glade and this stubborn child. He tried to run, but once my men traced his power signature, we could spot him a mile away. Not sure if he's Valgardian, but he's alien to these lands. Squinting, Krona knelt down and took the gag from the boy's mouth. You, Valgardian, why didn't you fight? Some vow of pacifism? But when the young man spoke, he spoke in a strange language, one that was guttural and melodic in turn, and even as the words came out, the young man seemed shocked at how he was speaking. All eyes turned to Krona, who was smiling. Ah, the gift of tongues. I'd read it, but never seen it for myself. Perhaps that alone was worth this bloodshed, though I have a hunch you have more in store for me, young man. It may be that your gift will never manifest, boy, but I don't think so. You would be the first Valgardian in all of recorded history to be born ungifted. We will find your spark, or it does not exist. Krona turned, meeting BC's eyes. Do you mind another passenger on our little journey? He's a strange prize, and I'd like to get to know him better. Besides, he may be even more comfortable if he has a familiar face with him. What do you say? I'd say I probably have about as much fucking choice as he does. For me, it's either you or the woods and a city of people who hate me. Him, you just made it a little bit more clear how you're fucking trapping him. Funny thing free will is. The choices that we want are never the ones we get. Or maybe they are. All a matter of perspective. He strode past her, whistling for his men, and leaving BC to look down at the sad, defeated golden eyes of the Valgardian, Krona's soldiers replaced the gag in the bag on his head, and then lifted him off to sling him on the back of the Strya. BC watched it happen, unmoving, and then turned when Krona called out. Shall we ride, Blair? He asked, motioning to the back of his steel horse. She rolled her eyes. With a look back over her shoulder, she walked up and sat down on the soft leather seats of Krona's steel horse. He sat down too, and responding to its master's touch, it hummed to life, purring and spitting and exhaling hot air as Krona revved its engine, spinning a half circle around to face the mountain trail that led north away from Reen. But before he kicked the steel horse into motion, he stopped, gesturing down the cliffs along the coast. The mist had cleared enough to see the smoke climbing high into the sky where portions of Reen still burned. We ride north, Krona called out, revving his steel horse, which roared and kicked against the gravelly ground. Breathe in the smoke of our work here in Reen. It is not the first city to be set aflame, and it will not be the last. We're building a new world, and to rise from the ashes, first, we must burn it all. Hey there! If you're hearing this, it means you're listening to the public version of this episode. I appreciate you taking the time and your interest in the series. It really helps the algorithm, it helps us grow. But if you are enjoying the show, maybe take a look over at our Patreon. We have uncut versions of the early episodes, access to new chapters before they're released for the general public, and you can shape the future of the series by deciding on new merch drops, bonus content, and more. You can get started for free at patreon.com/Seventh Valkyrie. That's patreon.com/7THVALKYRIE. Hope to see you there.